On Saturday, December 10th, 2022, we were all witnesses to history. They're the first African team to ever advance to the semifinals of a World Cup, doing so without conceding a single goal from an outfield player and beating European elites along the way. They're everyone's new favorite team as they unify the Western and Islamic world through passion, pragmatism, and an undying belief in something we can all get behind: an underdog. The Moroccan national team is the story of this winter's World Cup, but who exactly makes up their starting 11? And what does Walid Regragui's side do so well? Regardless of Wednesday's result, we couldn't move on without shedding some light on the success of the team and the impact it's had on the entire world, as well as doing a deep dive on the incredibly rich history of the nation, which is why in today's video we'll be taking a closer look at how Morocco changed football forever. Assalamu alaikum everyone, you're watching The Sideline Starters, and I'm Andy, first team all sideline. Do me a huge favor and hit that like button to help the channel grow, and without further ado, let's get started. For the first half of the 20th century, Morocco spent its sovereignty under the protection of France, though not the benevolent protection we associate with the word today, but rather a limited observance and control of another nation's government, economy, and social life in exchange for military defense. States under protection were referred to as protectorates, with the French officially establishing a protectorate over Morocco in March of 1912 through the Treaty of Fez. The treaty came as a result of France's ongoing colonization of Algeria, with the French looking to expand their power over the African continent. Morocco's crippling debt to French banks and a post-Franco-Moroccan war economy served as the backdrop for Sultan Abdelhafid signing the treaty under duress. Shortly after signing, Abdelhafid fled then capital Fez in search of safety in future capital Rabat, a move that resulted in bloodshed. Over 5,000 Moroccan infantrymen rebelled against French command posts stationed in the capital, resulting in over 700 total casualties. The rebellion was unsuccessful, ushering in what would be 40 years of French protection, but this would all come to an end in the 1950s. Post-World War II Morocco saw Sultan Mohammed V and his people push for independence. French massacres on Moroccan civilians and public outcry over the Sultan's exile brought everything to a boiling point. Rising violence and France's deteriorating situation in Algeria facilitated a successful negotiation for peace and sovereignty in the 50s. Morocco officially gained independence on March 2, 1956, signing a joint declaration in Paris, putting an end to the Treaty of Fez. The Royal Moroccan Football Federation had been established a few months prior and would make their international debut at the Pan-Arab Games of 1957, finishing fourth in the Arab equivalent of the Olympics. Morocco would host the very next Arab Games in 1961, winning the football tournament altogether, and the progress would continue. In 1966, Morocco joined the Confederation of African Football, one of the 6 continental members of the World Football governing body FIFA. By 1970, they would qualify for their first ever World Cup in Mexico, and though they failed to make it out of the group stage, they became the first African team to register a point in the World Cup, thanks to their 1-1 tie with Bulgaria. Moroccans would have to wait another 16 years to see their Atlas Lions qualify for the World Cup again, but as the cliche goes, the wait was worth it. In 1986, Morocco somehow managed to top a group containing England, Portugal, and Poland, becoming the first African team to ever win their group. They missed out on 1990, but were able to qualify for 94 and 98, but then came the setbacks. They followed their back-to-back qualifications with 16 years of darkness, failing to qualify for 4 consecutive World Cups. Morocco were trending backwards as Egypt, Cameroon, and the Ivory Coast traded places for African dominance, boasting some of the most iconic players the game's ever seen. But by 2018, Morocco were back on the world stage, fielding a team containing world-class center-half Mehdi Benatia, with Premier League partner Romain Saiss, as well as Eredivisie star Hakim Ziyech. They weren't able to progress beyond the group stage, but held their own against giants Portugal and Spain, setting the groundwork for 2022 in Qatar. And we finally made it to present day, with Morocco being placed in a group alongside perennial dark horse Belgium, 2018's runner-up Croatia, and CONCACAF champions Canada. And you wouldn't know it with the entire footballing world counting Morocco out from the start, but the Atlas Lions were quietly about to field the most talented national team they've ever had. We're about to break down the Moroccan starting 11, and what better place to start than one of their strongest positions, the goalkeeper. 31-year-old Yassine Bono sits between the sticks for Morocco and serves as the base for an unbelievably organized back line. He spent his career climbing up the ranks of Spanish football, eventually making a name for himself as the starting goalkeeper for Lopetegui Sevilla. 2021 would be his best individual season as a professional, winning the Ricardo Zamora Trophy, an honor awarded to the goalkeeper with the lowest goals to games ratio, a trophy previously won by Jan Oblak and Thibaut Courtois. Bono was also named to the official La Liga Team of the Season, as Sevilla finished in 4th place. In front of the 6'4" keeper, we have returning captain Romain Saiss. The 32-year-old center-back leads the team with 66 appearances for the Lions, as well as 166 appearances in the Premier League from his time with Wolves. He's partnered by 25-year-old West Ham center-half Naïf Aguerd, who just so happens to be the 4th most expensive signing in Hammers history. And while their center-back pairing is decent, it's their full-back tandem that legitimately stands in a league of its own, as it's arguably the best full-back pairing in the entire tournament. I'm of course talking about PSG's Achraf Hakimi and Bayern Munich's Noussair Mazraoui. Hakimi began his senior career with Real Madrid, making his La Liga debut at just 19 years old. But despite his talent, Daniel Carvajal was an irreplaceable staple at right back, leading to Hakimi's loan spell in Germany. He moved to Borussia Dortmund for 2 seasons, where he would become famous for his attacking prowess and blistering pace, setting the Bundesliga speed record twice, clocking in a top speed of 22.67 miles per hour. Hakimi would leave Dortmund for Inter Milan in 2021 to develop his game under Antonio Conte. In his first and only season in Italy, he started 37 out of 38 games and won Inter's first Scudetto in over 10 years. Hakimi was the most sought-after fullback in the world that summer, and following Conte's departure, signed for French powerhouse PSG. He's been there since 2021 and has only furthered his case as the best right-back in the world, bringing goals, assists, and an incredible work rate to any side he plays for. And he's only 24 years old. Now Mazraoui is a little more of a late bloomer. The 25-year-old has just begun to maximize his potential, getting his huge move to Bayern Munich this summer after being an integral part of Ajax's recent European renaissance. But here's the crazy part. Mazraoui has spent his entire career playing right back, but is so two-footed that Morocco choose to play him at left back. The technical ability he has on the ball completes Morocco's incredibly versatile defense. Altogether, they would arrive at Qatar with 2 elite fullbacks, a gutsy center-back partnership, and La Liga's most informed goalkeeper. And then there's their midfield. Moving into the middle of the park, 22-year-old Azdin Ounahi plays for Ligue 1 side Angers, and is one of the Lions' central midfielders, with more experienced 26-year-old Selim Amala as one of their attacking-oriented midfielders, playing his football in the Belgian Pro League. But the heart and soul and breakout star of their midfield is undeniably Sofiane Amrabat. Sofiane is the best holding midfielder in the Moroccan starting 11, playing his football for Serie A side Fiorentina. He's known for his smart, strong, and decisive tackles, but truly separates himself from other footballers in his distribution. In the last 365 days amongst midfielders in the top 5 leagues, Amrabat ranks in the 98th percentile for long passes completed, 97th in medium passes completed, and 96th for passes into the final third. Amrabat takes care of the football as if it was his own child, and the forwards Amrabat releases the ball into aren't half bad either. The streets know all about Soufiane Boufal, with YouTube mixtapes all over the internet highlighting his ridiculous skills. The tricky winger has had spells in La Liga and Ligue 1, but is most remembered for his 3 seasons with Southampton, where he was awarded the 2017 Premier League Goal of the Season for his breathtaking solo run against West Brom. He's one of the most technically gifted players to ever wear the Moroccan jersey and is easily the best dribbler on the entire team. At striker, Morocco offers something a little different, with experienced industrious forward Youssef En-Nesyri. Now he's 2 years removed from his 18-goal season in La Liga with Leganés, and he struggled for form lately. But he also has 50 appearances for his country, third most on the team. He also has 15 goals for the Atlas Lions, which is second most on the team. The only player ahead of him sitting in first place with 18 goals and 43 appearances is none other than star man Hakim Ziyech. The attacking midfielder is most famous for his prolific seasons with Ajax during the Ten Hag era. He completely bossed the Eredivisie, amassing 176 total goal contributions in 216 appearances. His performances secured him a Premier League move to Chelsea in 2020. And even though things haven't worked out exactly as he might have hoped, he's still a deadly talent on the international level. And we can't talk about the golden generation without mentioning the man that assembled them together. Walid Regragui was appointed as Moroccan coach in the final week of August, just 2.5 months away from the tournament. His appointment came after the Moroccan Federation sacked one of the most controversial international coaches of all time, Vahid Halilhodžić. The Bosnian had a fractious relationship with Hakim Ziyech and Mazraoui, as well as the president of Moroccan football, leading to his dismissal, marking the third time he was sacked before the start of a World Cup, the other two being with Japan and the Ivory Coast. Walid Regragui, on the other hand, is French-born with Moroccan ancestry, representing the Atlas Lions in 44 international appearances himself. He unified the squad immediately, bringing Ziyech and Mazraoui back on board for Qatar, and calmed all tensions regarding the influx of European-born Moroccans included in the team. And so began their World Cup journey. Through 3 group stage games, a round of 16, and a quarterfinal, Morocco have conceded a grand total of 0 goals from an opposition player. In fact, the only goal they've let up all tournament was an own goal, making them the most impressive defense in the World Cup at this stage since Italy in 2006. So how exactly did Morocco pull it off? Let's break it down. The most important thing to Regragui's Moroccan side is their defensive shape. He set up the Atlas Lions in a 4-1-4-1 formation all tournament long, establishing 2 compact blocks of 4, completely uninterested in keeping possession of the football, with an emphasis on sitting back and covering any and every passing lane possible. Hakimi and Mazraoui are asked to sacrifice their attacking tendencies to nullify opposition width, while Ziyech and Boufal are also asked to play a deeper midfield role instead of the attacking roles they perform for their clubs. But the most crucial player in the team from a tactical perspective is Sofiane Amrabat. He occupies the single pivot and is in charge of marking ball receivers, intercepting the ball, and covering passing lanes. The entire system lives and dies on his positional awareness, as well as his ability to close down space and anticipate opposition pass patterns. Even striker Neseri is given defensive tasks, being asked to man-mark midfielders responsible for opposition build-up play. The 6'2" striker would also have to be ready to sprint up the field during counterattacks while receiving long balls from the sides. And you can see the integrity of Morocco's defensive shape as early as their second group stage game in their 2-0 victory over Belgium, and their incredible counterattack system through Hakimi's assist to Neseri in their 2-1 victory over Canada. With 2 wins in the bag and a tie against Croatia, Regragui's team finished on top of Group F with 7 points, becoming the first African team to win their group since Nigeria in 1998. And so they moved on to the knockout phase, where they would meet former world champion Spain in the round of 16, a team that had scored 9 goals in the tournament already. And as usual, Morocco were counted out by all of footballing media, with veterans Daniel Carvajal, Jordi Alba, and Sergio Busquets still in the squad, and wonder boy Pedri in the heart of their midfield. But the Atlas Lions shocked the world, nullifying the Spanish offense for 120 minutes. And they did it sticking to the same defensive shape that had got them this far, with the team's commitment exemplified by captain Romain Saiss limping in the dying minutes of extra time. Morocco had pushed La Roja to the penalty shootout, where the Spanish completely imploded. They missed all 3 kicks, with keeper Yassine Bounou cementing himself as an African hero, saving both Carlos Soler and Sergio Busquets' penalties. Their victory meant that Morocco would be the 4th African team to ever reach a quarterfinal of a World Cup. where they would face Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. Except it wasn't really Ronaldo's Portugal anymore. They had just benched him against Switzerland in favor of 20-year-old Gonzalo Ramos. Fernando Santos' gutsy call resulted in the best performance we've ever seen from a Portuguese side, smashing the Swiss 6-1 with Ramos scoring a hat-trick. The Seleção das Esquinas looked unstoppable, while the Moroccans looked bruised and wounded from battle. Musraoui, Aguerd, and Saiss had all picked up injuries, with the first two being dropped from the starting 11 completely, with Yahia Allah subbing in at left back and La Liga's El Yamik coming in at center back. But regardless of whatever name was on the back of the jersey, the heart and desire underneath it remained the same. Morocco kept the same shape we've been talking about all day, with Amrabat bossing the single pivot, and En-Nesyri pressing from the front as usual. And it would be the 6'2 striker from Sevilla who would sink the dagger into Portuguese hearts, as he skyrocketed over keeper Diogo Costa for the most historic header in African history, putting Morocco up 1-0 just before the end of the first half. Ronaldo would come on during the second half, but not even the greatest European goal scorer of all time could deny destiny. Morocco held on thanks to late heroics by Bono, and became the first African team in the '98 history of the World Cup to ever reach a semi-final. And the scenes after the game were absolutely incredible. Celebrations over Morocco's victory have transcended any national tribalism in the African and Arab world, with football federations, politicians, and most importantly, the people of Muslim-majority nations all coming together in support of the only African team left in the tournament. Algerians, Iranians, Egyptians, and many other Arab communities have rallied behind Morocco for the rest of the tournament, a unity that demonstrates the absolute best of what the beautiful game has to offer when we're subjected to the sincerity and pride of a people, rather than the corruption of an organization or the gruesome greed of a government. And the unity is international, with the impact being felt all the way from Africa to Astoria, New York. Being a Queens native is honestly as close to Casablanca as I'll ever get, with the sound of songs synchronizing the scenes of support on Steinway Street as the rest of New York rallies in rows of red, glowing in groups of green, beating drums that echo the beating hearts of African history and heritage. You could honestly make a movie just by using all the iPhone footage my friends have sent me in the last week. Except the movie wouldn't be make-believe. This is real life. And the reality is Morocco has changed football forever, bringing a sense of unity to the Western and Arab world through sport, while proving what should be obvious, that African teams deserve the same amount of respect as any other continent. Morocco played defending champions France in the World Cup semi-finals on Wednesday, a matchup marinated in political pepper flakes, dressed in the sauce of football royalty, served in the hot deserts of Qatar to a people hoping the dish of dreams isn't spoiled. Regardless of the outcome, we're all witnesses to history. And I'm sure I speak for a lot of you watching when I say that the magic that Morocco has given all of us so far is more than good enough for me. Shukran bizaf to all my Moroccans out there, and thank you to everyone else who stayed and watched the whole video. As always, I'm Andy, first team all sideline. Don't forget to comment, subscribe to the channel, and smash that like button if you want to see more video essays like these. Till next time, guys.